Oh, Permanent Building Committee meeting, November 14th, 2024.
Is there anybody wish to engage in public participation? Seeing and hearing none, we'll proceed.
So we have some administrative actions tonight. We have review of the October 17th, 2024 Permanent Building Committee SBC meeting minutes for approval. Then we have the monthly invoices. We have a budget update. And we also have designer contract amendment 10 and 11. I think Tim sent that out this afternoon. And then budget revision requests 6 and 7. And then the internal change order from bond number 5. Bond will give a construction update, and then we'll look at the overall schedule upcoming.
That's the most recent version of the presentation, though.
That's not?
I don't think so. I'm checking right now.
That's okay. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I move that we approve the October 17th Permanent Building Committee SBC meeting minutes as written.
I second.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, there's any opposition to approving the Permanent Building Committee, School Building Committee meetings for October 17th, 2024. Hearing none, they're approved.
So, can you see the invoices listed?
Yep.
Okay. It's a 2-pager this month, we have left field's invoice number 40 for 145,000.
Yep. I move that we approve left field's invoice number 40 for $145,000.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Did I miss anybody? There was a 617.
Joe, I just joined.
Pardon, Tom?
Yep.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Okay, I move that we approve. That's unanimous. I move that we approve SMMA invoice 0062198 for a total sum of $327,313.06.
I will second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Wayne?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Chip?
Yes.
Phil?
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
And I don't know if Mark got on yet or not. Nope, I don't see him. Okay. It's unanimous.
Okay, I move that we approve bond invoice AFP 7 dated 10/31 for the sum of $4,523,672.53.
Second.
Discussion.
Is that retainage? Is that the 5% retainage?
Yes.
All right.
Any other discussion? Okay, well, 4.5 goes right out the window here.
Just like that.
We're assuming that people have the left fields looked at these and stamped them before we're seeing them, right?
Oh, yeah, they've all been looked at.
Yeah,
They've
we have
been
to
looked
vote.
at by SMMA and left field.
Yeah, so we got to vote on that. We were at discussion before you move the slide.
And they've been signed off on as well.
And we saw all that steel going up, so they're definitely spending the money somewhere.
We did see the steel.
That's right.
Jason,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Phil,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
I move that we approve designer lawn sprinkler invoice number 62518 dated 5/11/24 timely for $1,200.
Approved, second.
Sorry, I don't
Any,
have the,
dis-
oh, sorry.
any
I don't-
discussion?
Yeah, what is this for? Sorry, I don't have the packet
Gotta
open.
be the softball field sprinklers, right?
It was the new water source to the sprinkler system. I mean, new location for the controllers and stuff.
Have we been billed for the whole irrigation system yet?
I think this is it because this was just changing the location of the controls to accommodate our, the field redevelopment or whatever.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of those in the allowances and things like that, right, Lynn?
Correct.
Yeah, that's part of bonds.
Yeah, yeah. So a lot of that is in there.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Jason,
Yep.
Darren,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
unanimous.
I move that we approve UTS invoice 114178 dated 10/11 for $23,574.38.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none. Jason,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
it's unanimous.
Thank you.
That's
Um,
5 million, all right? Gone.
So, just a quick update on the budget. We've expended 92% of the budget or committed 92% of the budget and expended 17%. Our construction budget is the 220,459,379. We do have an extra contingency in there of 3.43 8 3 $3,438,360. And that was for the money that we had in the alternate line for Hemlock Road. So we do have that extra contingency in there. Plus, we have the owner's construction contingency of 11,022,969, and we have the owner's soft cost contingency of $2,070,078.
So Lynn, if I can ask a quick question, when you said in there, we also have, but part of that 224,59,379, part of that is the contingency that you stated. It's
No.
not above and beyond
No.
that.
Our owner's contingency is above and beyond the money
No,
that we
but
have.
what about the in the construction budget?
There is a
you would-
GMP contingency in the construction budget. The
Yeah,
owner's construction contingency and the owner's soft cost contingency are outside of the construction budget.
but within the construction budget, you would, of the 220 million, whatever, you
Yeah,
had also said something about a were you just stating how much of
so,
that
so
is
we
the
did move, we had an additional contingency on top of the GMP contingency of 3,438,360. So technically, the construction budget is 223.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I was asking. So
I
that
just
was,
separated it only because it is money that we put in as a
Yeah,
contingency
okay.
for,
that's what I was asking, is the 220, is that in the 220? And you just told
No,
me that, no, it's
no.
on top of the 220.
the only thing in the 220 in terms of contingency is the GMP contingency
Yeah.
and our holds and allowances.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
So
Yep.
where is, this is Phil, where is that $3 million being shown in these line items if it's not in the 220?
I didn't add it in, I just tried to keep but if you look in the budget, can you see my cursor? It's right here. The total revised construction budget is 223,897,739.
It's not in the bullet. Got it. Okay. Yep.
Now,
I
Lynn,
just wanted to separate it because
Lynn? Hello?
we will be coming to you for use of it, basically, so, but I'll include it in the total, next time. So our cash flow,
Lynn,
yes,
going back to that, just for my own and for the committee, can you explain the difference between the owner's construction contingency and the owner's soft cost contingency?
so,
For my own
and
ignorance.
on MSBA projects, the owner's contingency gets broken into two pots. One is the construction contingency, which is supposed to be used for changes in the construction. And then the owner's soft cost contingency is supposed to be used for designer amendments, OPM amendments, design, and services related costs.
When you say it's supposed to be, does it have to be?
No, you can use it for whatever you want, but
Okay, that's what I
you're
thought.
gonna get the maximum reimbursement if you use it in those two pots.
Okay, all right, that's what I thought, as I recalled. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Any other
Yeah.
questions regarding this budget update?
Just like we received two, this is just a comment to the packet. Both packets we got today, this slide is different in both of those. Like you have, I just want to make sure the packets we're getting are what we're seeing at these meetings, because if I saw these contingency line items, I would have probably brought it up before, but we need, and maybe you'll get into it, but do we have like a separate logs? I think we had talked about showing contingencies on like a separate sort of, tracking of what's been spent out of it to date and what's left. And do we
We'll
have
show
that
you
coming up?
that. We'll show you that. I added these to this slide because Joe asked me about them
Yeah,
today.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
It was Bill, I asked that this be on there because I think it's important that we have that on there for the budget update.
Well, I always blame Joe for everything, so it makes sense that it was
And
Joe's fault.
rightfully so.
Right, like this is just proves the point. So,
Yes.
okay, I just wanted to make sure we're going to talk about the contingencies because there's a lot of money in there, and thanks.
That's why I wanted them
So
up
we
there.
really haven't touched the owner's construction contingency, and we're hoping not to touch it for quite some time, or if at all. And the only cost out of the owner's soft cost contingency are the amendments to the designer and OPM during the course of the project, so. So our cash flow, we're tracking, our expenditures are tracking ahead of what we had projected. And again, we've been pushing the project, or Jerry's been pushing the project pretty hard. So we're, trying to get fully enclosed quickly so that we can, have an enclosed space for winter conditions.
Can you pull up the larger version of this, please? Not the slide, but the actual graph of the bar graph, please.
This one?
The graphic on the right, not the line, of that, the cash flow report. But, and again, in the packet after this, it goes into an actual larger version of those pictures. Can you pull up the bar graph one, please?
I don't have that.
I can
It's in
pull
the
it up.
packet. Tim sent it out twice.
Tim can do
Yeah,
it. Go ahead, Tim.
please.
Tim needs to be a co-host.
Yep.
While he's pulling up, my question, Lynn, is going to be, when you look at this through the end of 26, we are blowing away the projections. Like the revised projections on cash flow are double for like a huge period of time. And then it starts getting lesser towards the 27. Like as the project, in terms of how we're funding it, and I've asked this months ago, but like in terms of the town and the bonds and the funding that we need to pay for this project based on projections, everyone's aware that we're like doubling. If you look at the revised, the third column, it's considerably more through 26. And then it starts getting a little less based on or whatever. So, and it's been higher if you go to the red.
Because we started out below the curve and now we're projecting above the curve and finishing earlier than the original projections.
Okay, it's just a lot of money. So to me, there's a big project, right? So I'm looking at the millions, seeing how much more we're spending. But in projects like this, the town is prepared to borrow
Phil,
that much more money if we need it for this new projection line.
the first bond has already gone out and it's been purchased. And that was for, I believe, 100 million.
Yeah.
And the next one is gonna be done in the spring. I think it was the spring or the summer of next
100
year,
million.
another 100 million.
Yeah,
they
and
are
so I think we,
keeping up
we
with-
don't hit
they're
that
keeping up
until
with that.
mid 2025.
September, it looks like.
Because it's like 20 million more a month for like a long period that the revised projection is like 20 million more than the original projection. Like that sounds, so as long as like, this all ends up at the end line of the project budget, obviously, like I understand that, but the timing of it, Joe, you're telling me, or Lynn,
Yeah.
that the town is fully aware of this
Yes.
projection and we're
Yes.
not a problem. Okay.
That's not a problem.
I,
Thank you.
I can revise this. I usually like to keep it the way we started with and just show the difference, but I can revise it if
No, this is helpful because it shows you what we thought, what we've been paying, and what we're thinking. So I think this is
Yeah.
great for what it is. Just the numbers were catching my eyes because there were, tens of millions, not like a couple bucks. So
okay.
Yeah, the first bond went off with 100 million and they got a very good rate on it. So it was very, yeah.
okay, thanks.
So far it's been pretty good on that end.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Let me just get back to that. So we,
Is there any more questions on these cash flow report? Okay. Go ahead, Lynn. Sorry.
we have designer contract amendment number 10, and this is for Burnett Field lighting. This is for the design, working with Concom, and installing the light fixtures to light Burnett Field. And so the cost for SMMA and their consultants is 29,500.
And am I correct that the actual lighting and things like that are not gonna be done until the end? Is that right?
I think at this point, we haven't decided when it's necessarily gonna be done. This is just to get the design services and
Yep.
permitting services in place.
Okay,
Joe, I think more importantly, we're looking at the spring for electrical conduit and maybe the
Right.
bases and the lights themselves at the end of the project when we have the funds,
Okay.
or if we
that's what
have.
I thought. Okay,
Yeah.
And after Concom approval, yes.
Correct.
It's-
Correct.
it's
right.
Sequential.
All right,
But
any
this
questions?
gets us, this includes us getting through Concom approval.
Correct. This is all inclusive of the design to proposal requests that will show the getting the infrastructure in the spring, as you mentioned, Chip. But you have to do the full design to know what the infrastructure is.
Right.
Specify the design, go to Concom and do any site plan review or zoning board permitting amendments that need to happen.
Any questions, other questions regarding designer contract amendment number 10?
I have a question. So this is just scope that we've decided to add to the project because we have contingency. It's been requested by the town.
Yes. And,
Okay.
and because of what we did to the Burnett Field, we also thought it would be appropriate to use the money to make it, and now that it's been redone, to make it even better because they didn't have lighting before. So this gives them something that they
Mhm.
didn't have before.
Do we know how much or what the estimate will be for the actual build of this scope?
No, not until we do the proposal requests and hand it off to bond, and they will get the costing pulled together. But that's a good question, Erin.
We don't have any like ROM at this time for what it might be.
I won't put bond on the
not
spot,
right
but yeah.
I'm just
should
wondering if we would
soon.
want to know those costs before we start paying the design in the event that it's above and beyond what we feel comfortable with, I guess, initiating until we know we're going to definitely have the funds.
You can't get the costs until we do the design.
Right,
Because-
but I mean, I would just be interested to see a rough order of magnitude. I'm sure Bond's done lighting at other fields that we could
Yeah, I
But
mean,
we
have a
also,
reference-
Aaron, we
have a
also have
reference point.
$11 million in contingency.
Right. But we're just putting up steel, so that's just my concern to understand,
Yeah,
you know,
I get
it's
it.
it's only 30,000 now, but you know, it's a bigger piece. So just, I don't know, that would be my only question, is to understand what the construction cost would be.
it's
before
a
we
valid
initiate.
question. I mean, are we talking 50,000 for lights or 500,000 for lights? Someone should be able to at least throw a 10% estimate out there, you know, within 90%, it's gonna be.
I'd love to think it was either one of those, but I don't think it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly. Somewhere in
We
between,
haven't-
probably.
No, not between.
No, that much more for lights?
And all the infrastructure.
Infrastructure.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So, I mean, Aaron's making a good point. I mean, it'd be nice to be able to
Right,
have
but
some idea of
what's gonna happen is we're gonna do the design. And once the design is done, we're gonna get two prices. We're gonna get one for the infrastructure,
Yep.
one for the lights themselves. At that point, we can approve the project, we can put it all on hold, we can say do X or do X and Y or whatever we want to do. But nobody, the ballpark figures, I hear Aaron saying, you know, I'm sure that somebody can give you a ballpark, but every time you get a ballpark and then it comes in more, you always remember the ballpark. So
Mhm.
the
So-
best thing to do is eat the 30,000 now and really understand what it's going to take to do what we want to do and if we want to do it, in my humble opinion.
This is also what we did during the Galvin on several issues as well, where we had to get some of the designer contracts done before we then made that final decision as to what we wanted to do. So it's kind of what we've done in the past as well.
Is the challenge, Joe, that we'd want to do at least the infrastructure piece, you know, only, you know, a quarter or halfway through this project as opposed to waiting till the end? I mean, does it make sense to spend this money a year from now instead of now to do the designer contract amendment? Why do we have
It's
to
gotta
do it
go
now?
through, it's
Yeah.
gotta go through Concom and all of that,
Yep.
so it's
And
not.
then
something
the other
simple
issue
little-
is we don't want to grow grass around the outside of the field, get everything, you know, that's why we're talking about possibly doing the infrastructure first so that it can be done and finished properly around the field as the project moves on, as compared to having them do all that and then come back in and rip it all out to put these in. So from a consent, an area of moving forward, you don't want to, it will cost us more if we wait till the end and then redo it all.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm
If that makes
comfortable
any
with it,
sense.
if everyone else is comfortable with it.
Just
Yeah,
like,
is there any other questions or comments?
just to the point of the design fee, like how much of that gets us just the bases? Most of it, like you still have to go to Concom, like if we just wanted to at least get the infrastructure and bases in.
This doesn't get anything in.
No, well, this gets us a
This gets a
design
design.
of bases and a design of the lights.
And the permitting with Concom is
And the
included in
permitting, right.
this, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so whether or not we put a pole with light, well, there is, Chip always mentions salamanders for some reason, so I'm gonna guess that there's a story there, but the lights pose an issue, but, okay, Google AI has some good ballpark, but that we can blame it on Google AI if someone wants to look at that quietly, but there's many factors and, I think it's worth it. I think it'd be a big upgrade for the town. It's 30 grand, but
Yeah,
I agree with Aaron, like, someone's has to have done, you know, some project recently that someone knows someone that they can ask how much their budget line item was for 4 light poles, you know, in design. Someone should be able to pull that out of our consultants here, but I know you don't want to publish it in public because everyone remembers the first number you say. I live by that. So
Right.
if you want to pass a note next time we see you in a real meeting, we'll yeah, that would be fine.
See, and the other thing is that all the other fields that we have are all lit, and this is the one that isn't. So,
LED, like, are they gonna get into, like, who picks? I assume it has to be all energy efficient, that they're gonna design top, top energy and everything like that.
Yeah,
These
and
aren't
that all
going
comes
in-
from, a company called Musco, is the top of the line for field lighting these days.
Yeah, we're not putting in halides or whatever they are. Yeah, okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments on designer contract amendment number 10? All right, Lynn, you want to, next slide?
So I move that, I make a motion to approve the designer contract amendment number 10 for the sum of 29,500 for architectural, civil, electric, and sports consultant services for the Burnett Field as presented.
I will second.
Any further discussion or comments? Hearing none. Jason,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
and Mark.
Yes,
All right, you made it, right.
I made it.
All right,
So, in order to fund this, we need to move the 29,500 from owner's contingency to the designer's construction administration budget line. And this is done by the budget revision request number 6. So
So I move that we approve the budget revision request number 6 to move 29,500 from owner's contingency to designer construction administration for design and construction. Now, Lynn, should this be owner's contingency soft cost?
that's what I was gonna ask. Is this the soft
I
contingency?
just added the word soft cost in the other, it's
Those
the
are
budget
really,
line.
they're really together?
Yeah, it's the same thing.
All
Okay,
right, but I'd
I,
like to
I just
track it.
tried to identify it a little bit more on the budget thing, but it's,
Okay, so
it's
as long
the-
as we keep tracking it that way, but we don't need to word it here?
no,
Okay,
that's the MSBA's term for that budget line, owner's contingency.
okay, thank
But
you.
it's meant for soft costs.
Yeah, for Burnett softball field lighting as presented.
All right, I second the motion.
any further discussion on moving the budget for this budget revision? Hearing none. Jason,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous.
So, after the presentation was sent out, we received, designer contract amendment 11, and this is for the Landrigan Field replacement.
So
And
Lynn,
Chip.
I can jump in here. So we've asked, so first of all, we haven't seen this yet. This was the first time we've seen this. So it is and Aaron, to your point, we do not need to do this now because there's absolutely nothing happening with this that has anything to do with our project other than that it falls under the high school campus as a whole. So this one would definitely get done at the end, both for services as well as for the field as necessary. And I haven't even reviewed what the services are, but I do think they're overstating what needs to happen to put down a new field. Because all we're looking to do is put down a new turf. So I move that we do not approve, that we just put this amendment on hold for the moment for probably another year.
All right, so we'll move to table this designer contract amendment number 11. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Tarbell?
That's sure.
All right. Do I have a second?
I will second as long as no one has any conversation about it.
I
Well,
have
that's
some
why not?
questions, sorry.
Yep, go ahead, Ed.
So my question to your point, Chip, is this the same exact spec and product that we're putting on the new field as
So
part
we
of the
don't-
project?
So we don't know that yet. So
Okay.
one of my feelings, Erin, is that this 48,000 is a lot more intense than we need to be. And that when we have awarded the single, for the new field, we can then either ask them, we can either take it out of contract and take it out of bond scope and do it ourselves out of the budget at the end of the project. Or, you know, we can review it at that time. And yes, it would be the same spec and as the new field.
Right, like, are there
Does that make-
efficiencies
does
in
that
doing
make
them at the
sense?
same time, or buying them with
Or-
the same supplier and using all the same spec? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Right,
that's
so I'm
more of
not
a
sure what
timing,
the,
it's more of a
yeah,
timing
I,
thing.
I just, this is the first time we had seen the 48,000. And I just don't think we're all on the same page for what the scope needs to be.
It
So,
might be worthwhile for Helen to just to go through it quickly with you.
well, this should be a working group conversation.
Right, I don't
Yeah,
think it'd
We
be,
hadn't
can-
seen or talked about this at all.
Sure,
Okay.
we can definitely do that.
Yeah.
We were able to clarify many of the things that were raised at the last working group, Chip, and I think this does represent what you're asking for. So certainly we can have further discussions about it.
Okay,
right,
thanks.
so
Sure.
we're moving to table this at this time.
But if, Erin, does that answer your questions?
Yeah, no, definitely.
I don't want to cut you short by any means.
Nope.
I just think this, and also I think it makes sense because before this is gonna be at the very end of the project, so. It's not something that has to be done at this stage anyway, in my view.
Why did it come up now then? Who
Because
requested
we've
it?
asked them-
Did owner
We
request?
asked them to look at this.
Oh, just to know how much it would cost for the design of it.
Well, no, not even for the design. I just wanted to know how much it was gonna cost for a new field. And we never discussed why we need this type of scope. And I think we don't, so that's what needs to happen offline, and so we can get a good handle on, not offline, but this is a working group conversation. And then to bring whatever the final decision is back to the whole group, rather than trying to have that full discussion here tonight.
And that's fair. And Chip, when you do have a moment to go through the proposal, John Amato does provide an estimate of what he thinks the overall cost of replacement will be.
Great, super. That's what we,
Mhm.
yeah, I haven't even been able to open it yet, Helen, because we got it at
Who's
5.
Joe? Who's Amato? Oh, he's the guy we have. Like, why can't we do the same thing for the ball field lights? That's what everyone was just asking. Like, can't someone just tell us how can we get a number for a field without a design? Yet we can't get a number for the lights without a design. I think it was the same question. that
Because
was
there's a
asked.
lot more infrastructure for doing something that hasn't been done yet with electrical and posts and everything else.
Yeah, if
That
you,
have to be designed as
Yeah.
compared to putting down new field on top of a field that's already been built.
and if you look at I looked at the information from a model his letter, and it goes into detail because he had the design from before, he has the measurements, he had all that, and that's how he was able to come up with a number.
Is it, can I ask? Sorry to be late, but is it rubber or are we going with that wood, the wood infill on these turfs?
We don't know yet.
Oh, we don't know yet. Got it. Okay, sorry.
Well,
It's part of the
something's been-
design process to confirm.
Yeah,
We got to figure out what we're going to use. Yeah.
Right,
correct.
right.
So there was a formal second to table this motion.
All right. Any other discussion? Jason,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous.
So with that, it takes us to bonds, change order 5, and we're calling it an internal change order because ultimately it's a $0 cost to the project. In other words, we're not increasing the contract sum with this change order. We provided this information because it was asked for last time. We've given you what the value of each of these PCOs are in this first column after the description. Then we've added what the amount is for the change order, which is 0, and then what we have left in the remaining holds or allowance that's being drawn from.
Do you have that? What's the holder alone, is that?
Yeah, that's the right-hand remaining budget.
Oh,
So can
okay.
somebody, did we,
You might need to slide down, Lynn, to the next one because it has
What's
contingency. holds
some
and allowances.
allowances? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
there was-
that it's not in the presentation, it's in the meeting packet.
Yeah, okay, oh, okay, I saw it in the
someone
meeting,
pull it
packet.
up?
I have some questions on those.
Yeah,
Yeah, why don't we
I'm
pull
pulling
it
it
up?
up. Everyone see that?
Yep.
isn't
Yeah.
that what we just had on the screen?
That's the same thing we had.
No,
Same
this
thing we
has
had.
an added column with the source, so you can see the
Yeah.
top one, construction
okay.
contingency, followed by allowances and holds.
Oh, I see, okay.
So those are GMP. Those are called out in
Okay.
the GMP and bonds GMP. So they have.
Okay, this is good. Yep.
Okay, all right,
Just-
okay, I understand it now, all right.
So just so
Do
you
we
guys
want-
know too, they're approved in the
Did we,
GMP. There,
did we go through this at the working group meeting?
this was kind of a summary of what we're trying to illustrate,
Yeah.
with these
Did-
changes.
We discussed
Simple
it and you asked for it
Did
put
we
to put,
review this on
No,
Thursday?
not this, document here. No.
No.
Okay.
You
In
asked.
order for us to, Craig, in order for us to approve any change orders, $0 or not on holds and allowances, they all have to be reviewed at the working group.
we
Or,
reviewed each of these, Chip, and you asked us to
I
put it
just
on a
asked the question.
slide.
I just
so
asked that question.
So
If we
we
did,
did
and I was
review
told we
each one of
didn't.
these at the working group, and you asked us to put it on a slide so that you would understand what was the remaining in each of the holes or allowances that we're drawing from. One thing I
That's why I
want,
was asking if this was the same as we reviewed.
yes,
and
it
it
is. This is just
Okay.
put in the
Yeah, it's
presentation
just a new
to show
document.
you what's remaining. One thing I
Perfect.
want to note is
Okay.
that the construction contingency listed here is really the GMP construction contingency, not our construction contingency. Just so you're clear, all of these source funds are inside of the GMP.
And the GMP contingency was 11 million, is that right?
No,
How much was it?
that's our contingency.
The remaining GMP contingency that we have
Is
left is
4,600,000.
and 57,000.
And
Okay,
that doesn't include, I know we talked about the buyout savings, which is currently 1.4 million, but that's gonna
Right.
fluctuate. That's why we didn't include it here.
right, because that's part of that as well, right?
Correct.
That's what I thought, okay, all right.
So what we can report as the working group is that we've gone through all of these. And
Yeah.
we accept them as being legitimate, I guess is the word to use. But if anybody went through the packet and has questions, this would be the time to ask them.
I had some questions on the allowances, and I'm not so sure if it was part of these or not, but I think it might be. Lynn? Hello?
What's the question?
Yeah.
We first have to, in the site obstruction removal, there's references to the monies having to do with Costello labor rates. Can anybody explain that?
I
I
think
have to look at the log. I can't.
It's talking about Costello labor rates are over the allowable prevailing wage, and Costello's included a 15% markup, which isn't allowed per the contract. And
So that's because they're union
those
and
are-
that their collective bargaining supersedes this prevailing
if it's
wage.
not included in the contract, why are we approving this?
So,
They weren't
Chip,
allowed to
I mean,
charge.
Joe, sorry.
Go ahead,
So
Marcus.
those are our comments, and they
Thank
get,
you.
and then Bond adjusts these changes
address
based
them.
on those comments.
Well,
Thank you, Chris.
I don't see that. That's what it seems odd the way it's done, okay?
Yeah, those comments should not have been in this package. I'll tell you quite frankly, we can't submit something to MSBA that has our comments on it because it's gonna be confusing to anybody. And it's
Not just us.
not just you, I mean, it should be the final document that gets added into the packets.
Yeah, because on another allowance, on the site GMP allowance, there's some comments in there. Please provide material pricing backup for sheet rock, separator, sand, and concrete. They're comments.
They're
also.
comments, but you
sound
wouldn't have
like-
them in front of you unless they had been addressed. And that's the point. That's why the comments don't need to be in here. The final document is all that needs to be included.
Yeah, I just, I'm looking at it and I go, well, has this been taken care of?
Yes.
Yes,
the answer
those
is
are
yes.
our first round of comments. Left field and SMMA, we send them back to Bond. They provide a revised. If you go in, you can see there's, revisions to change orders, and they come back. We actually have a spreadsheet that we track the submitted cost for a change, and then what it actually comes in at as the approved change.
But I don't see the change in these allowances. It just gives a number. I don't see where somehow, before it was 20,000, now it's 17,000 or something like that. That's what I'm confused by.
Where's the revised, right? Where's the revised? Like, I don't know what you're looking at, Joe. 'Cause
Yeah,
like,
I'm not sure which.
This is a
which-
package that I got for the
Through-
materials that I actually read.
Which one? Says we got one at 5:11 tonight, and then we got one last night, the other day. Like, which of
The
those
other
two
day.
packets are you looking at? The first
The other
one?
day, Phil, the other
Ah,
day, it was about
oh,
140 pages. And I looked through them. And just to show you how busy I was today. And from that, I found all these precast culvert, all these things where all these comments are in there, which seems to indicate that there was a question about this charge. But I don't see that charge was that question was addressed in the final numbers. So it looks like they're charging, say, in this precast contract, 17,000, but it says in here, this cost sheet doesn't match up the price in the back from Situate Precast. So I mean,
So how much is that? How much is that thing you're reading? What does it say is the total?
$17,000.
And what was the final when they reacted to your comments, right? And
There's
revised?
nothing, Phil.
No, I'm asking.
That's what Joe's
I'm asking
saying.
left
There's
field.
no,
I know.
there's no
So I'm
final
asking the
number.
question, what was the revised number?
So
Which-
you
which-
guys ended up with the wrong packet. You ended up with the packets that went back and forth before it was revised. You needed to have the final packet that was the final, that represents these final numbers.
Like, we got to be getting the correct information, folks. I'm sorry. I'll take this offline and I'll talk tomorrow, but I'm going to make a comment that we expect accurate information from our project managers, our owner's rep. We're getting packets. There's been 2 instances tonight where you had to find, it wasn't what we were sent. There's some other presentation, your work. Like, there's all this information. Like, can we just have the packet is our presentation and it's accurate? And I'd love to have a talk offline about this because it's really frustrating. We're trying to make these big decisions. Especially for Joe, who's been on this, to not understand what he's reading when we're talking changes and scope. So just
Well, we can
please
table all
pull
of
up-
this if you want to. I think we were trying to get as much as we could into this meeting, but I would suggest if you're not comfortable with it, just tabling it.
Yeah, I think, if there's problems with these allowances and there's problems, we should know what the problems were and how they were resolved. Obviously, there were problems here because in a lot of these
This
allowances.
happens on everything,
Yeah.
on every requisition, on every invoice that comes in, we review, and they're reviewed by a bunch of different people, and there are a lot of comments.
If there was no comments, that would be the problem.
With on every single
Oh.
thing, then we're gonna be tying up a
it's-
lot of your
The
time.
Chris,
comments
it's-
is fine.
Chris,
It's just
Chris.
making sure we're getting the final version in our packet. The comments are hopeful and expected. I'm glad there's right. There's someone
Yeah,
just said
yeah.
that's a good thing. It's just making sure we're getting the correct if they responded, and to your
Understood,
point, we're
yeah.
not showing the comments, right? Like you made the
Right,
point. So
exactly.
the accuracy of the information we're getting, and it is all for everyone's sanity, because God forbid, or not God forbid, if it did go out, it would cause confusion, right? It would just
Exactly.
like it is tonight. So
So so if I can just also ask a question, if we can put that slide back up. What is also confusing to me, and I don't need an answer, but unless it's
You want my slide that I had?
what the one that one, yep. So I look here and I look at the first GMP allowance 2 for site obstruction removal. And I get 32,591 or whatever that now, 690, still too small for me to read. But then I come over to remaining budget and it's 153,907. Then I go down and I look and I see the same exact GMP allowance 2 site obstruction removal, but for 74,495. And I go to the right and I still have 153,907 remaining. So if both of those are coming out of GMP allowance 2, how can I have the same remaining?
So that
And
those totals,
Those were already taken out and they were just showing that.
those are, yeah, that 153,907 is including anything that's been approved in SOVs 1 through 4 and this SOV 5. It's just that there are, there's 153,000, so there's going to be multiple, allowance draws associated with that scope of work under that allowance.
But what he's saying, he just expected
Okay,
it
so we
to
don't see
draw
that
down as it went, as
draw
opposed to
down.
you telling
Okay.
what's left.
All right, okay. Thank you, that's a good explanation. Just a little confusing on how
No,
I
I
was.
know. So if there's 12 GMP allowances and there's
Yeah.
59 GMP holds for throughout all the different scopes of work. So there are a lot of different buckets of money. There's $3.2 million worth of holds that are in this GMP, and there's
Yep.
$2.2 million worth of allowances. So there is a lot of,
Right. But if you produce us something that had what I read, it makes no sense that it looks like nothing was done to deal with that issue.
yeah, because you're looking at that. I understand, Joe. You're looking at that document at a
Yeah.
point in time. You're not seeing the final. Like I have a spreadsheet I'm looking at right now. Do you know that change that you're looking at? Do you have the number?
Hold on. I marked it and then I folded it back up again.
Because we track it by submitted cost before we review it, and then as it gets approved, we put that cost also on a spreadsheet, so we know these changes.
PCO 703. It's not even on this list.
Yeah, that's like Lynn said, that's an old.
We haven't even brought that for approval yet. I don't know how.
Says here
No,
SOV 4.
No, that was in SOV 4, 703. Yeah.
So we already approved something that wasn't dealt with. I mean, this is
No,
like,
it was. There is a final version. It's just you're looking at, I'm not sure why that backup's in there, as Lynn said.
well, I
Well,
mean,
let's figure that out as we
Yeah.
move forward, as you know, everyone's pointed out, let's
If I
figure
can
it
just
out.
jump in here, those logs are from Bond, and that's where I track Wakefield and SMA's comments, and that's where I put them, so I know what I need to answer, not just in an email. That's why you guys are reading those logs, the logs.
who are you?
After they're done,
That's
I can clean
Marcus.
it off, but that's where I track
Marcus
the
from
comments.
Bond.
So it sounds like that's perhaps just not the right document to be included in the package, but it does kind of it sounds like our internal tracking system, and that's probably
Can I
not a
just
great
ask the
summary.
real question of who puts these packages together and who reviews them?
Who puts these packets that you receive?
Yeah. Who's responsible for putting them together and sending them out?
Meeting packet or the change orders?
Meeting packet.
I put the meeting packet together. The change orders come from Bond.
Okay. To Phil's point, let's just make sure it's too big a project to have this much confusion in a discussion.
Yeah, and we shouldn't have like interim notes in here as to, you know, it just didn't make any sense.
Just a comment from a voting member here, a taxpayer in town and a voting member. The amount of confusion from this, looking at this screen is concerning. Someone, to me, is not doing their job. And we're paying a tremendous amount of money here. We just want straight, accurate information.
The information
What-
on the
what-
slide
what
is
Chip- what
accurate.
Chip is- Just what Chip is saying and Joe, it's not accurate. And there's a
Well,
lot of.
The
there's
information
a
on
lot
the
of
slide
confusion.
is accurate.
Lynn, can I speak?
Backup
Lynn,
information,
can I
you
speak,
have
Lynn?
more information than.
Lynn, can I speak?
Go ahead, Wayne. You made your point. It's not accurate.
I'm trying to finish up, we need accurate information, so continue. Thank
Right.
you.
Right, but this is not what I read and reviewed. It was the backup for these things that had all these comments in it, Wayne, not this particular slide
What's the name of that file you're reading?
that I was reading from.
Yeah.
They were the holds and allowance logs
Yeah, it's the allowance log that Joe is
that are in the meeting
stating.
package.
Yep.
In the whole logs. Okay. Got it. Thank
Those
you.
are
Yeah,
working.
these are the logs.
Okay. I was
I
looking
was
for the-
just, like I said, I
The
just.
whole
read
point
them.
of this slide was to simplify the holes and allowance log. The logs are a working document. And what we put here on this slide was to make it simpler and easier to get the accurate information out there.
Yeah, but
Well,
The logs are very confusing. And like I
They are.
said, they're working logs.
I know, but we do need to see those logs though.
we don't want to hurt the slide's feelings, but it didn't succeed in its goal to make it more clearer to us. So I think that someone said another report maybe might be better. So I think we can hopefully, you guys will figure it out and get us something different than this slide next time.
Well,
And you need to see the allowance and the hold logs too.
Yeah, like I don't want to approve this without seeing the information tonight is my feeling, but
Yeah,
I guess
we
I'm
haven't
trying to
voted on,
find out what.
on it yet, but we should take, I think it needs to go back and be reworked and represented.
well, guys, I'm confused because I'm where Lynn is. Now that I've heard the explanation to all of this and what the totals are, the slide makes sense to me. And I have not gone back to see all the backup and all the comments and everything else. But if SMMA and Bond and our OPM have approved these allowances for $331,065, and they come out of these different allowances and what we have left in these lines is accurate and true, then the fact that we saw other things that we shouldn't have seen is okay with me, and we won't see them in the future. I don't think we want to get involved with every argument or discussion that Bond, SMMA, and Left Field have, because that's why we have those people.
Yeah.
We should be getting what's the vetted information. So what I'm hearing Lynn saying is that this slide represents the vetted information. If
I
I
mean,
stated something wrong, Lynn, feel free to correct me.
To get to this point was a couple of weeks of work to get to the final value that we're recommending to you. And we're bringing it to you on this slide. You asked us to add the additional information of how much we had left and the holes and allowances that we were drawing from. And we added that on there so you would at least understand that we have a good bit money left in each of the holes and allowances that we've drawn from. But in terms of.
Lynn, but we did want to look at the allowance logs and the hold logs. We
Yeah,
did ask.
then we're
that.
gonna need to give you ours because bonds is very confusing and I don't think that any of you are gonna be able to understand it. We'll end up giving you our holes and allowance logs that are much cleaner and don't have all of the.
That's better. Thank you.
listed in it.
Yeah, and I think,
we can
Joe,
do that.
to the point is I think that should happen at the working group meeting. That's what the working group's for, is to be able to come with good, clean, accurate information to these night meetings so that we don't spend hours and hours discussing what can be discussed at the working group.
And the
And
values you
to that
see
minutia
here were
detail.
discussed at the last working group meeting.
Right, I understand. I agree with you, Lynn. I'm not, don't,
No, I'm
First
just
of all-
trying to clarify, that's all.
yeah, but I know, but just,
From now on, then let's have cleaner allowance and hold logs and things of that nature, because that just didn't make any sense at all.
And it's nothing that you guys shouldn't see, or it's just, I think that what you're looking at, if I can share the screen, I can clarify, I can show you one revision. Just from this batch of,
You're gonna
I
need
think
to
that,
make
I
your
think we're
co-host.
fine. I think the
I don't
point,
think we
the
need
point
to
that
see-
Joe made is that if there's a comment with no resolution and it's been resolved, then either put the resolution on there, or even better, just don't put the comment on the packet that you send to us, and make sure the numbers we see on the screen are accurate. And I'm with Chip. These numbers look fine to me after they were explained. I think Joe's biggest issue is the unresolved comments that were in the logs. So as long as there's no comments or they're resolved comments, we're okay. Is that right,
Absolutely.
Joe? Okay, let's move on.
thank you.
All right, Lynn,
As long as everybody else feels comfortable with it.
Yep.
I trust the team.
So I don't think we need to table this. I think we can,
Working group. Yeah.
now we do have to approve the change order.
we can
correct,
do
I
that.
think, to get that screen back
Yeah,
up.
Yeah, we
get the
can do
change
that.
order back up. I'm sorry to do that, but I had,
Yeah, we're done. Good.
Oh, it's a valid point, Joe. Valid point.
yeah, no, it's a lot to take in.
Who's gonna bring the change order back up?
Lynn,
We're almost there.
Hold on 1 second. I just, trying to, had to get my power cord, sorry.
These meetings usually don't take this long, Joe.
Not recently, at
oh,
least.
you know, it's my fault.
We've determined everything's your fault, so
I
just.
know, all right. Just I just check mark another.
All right, so we've already done this one.
And we're not doing 11.
There we are.
There we are, that one, yeah. All right, Chip,
So I move that we approve the internal change order number 5 as presented for the sum of $331,065.
Second.
any further discussion or comments? Hearing none. Jason,
Yes.
Aaron,
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Chip,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Mark.
Yes.
Okay, unanimous. Next is a construction update.
Who's gonna take that
Okay,
from the bond side?
Marcus.
I'll take that one. So this is a picture of the isolated piers getting formed in place in building D. In the background, you can see steel erection in building A. Next slide. Thank you. This is the kind of a different view, still doing isolated footings in building D. You can see a lot more completion of building A. And then you can see in the far right background, building B getting erected. This is the main duct bank coming into the site. Well, this is actually a view of looking at the retaining wall facing Hemlock. It's going through retaining wall 8 right there, and then hitting the 2 manholes right behind it. This is a picture of building F, working through closing up the grade beams, isolated footings, and kind of to the left bottom is going to be where the loading dock's going to be of the new school.
And building F, just for everyone, is the superintendent's office and WCAT, is that right?
Correct.
Okay.
And then the last photo here is the upper lot. You can see it's striped out and numbered in the background. They're just finishing up the signage on it. This was turned over on Tuesday for Wakefield High use.
And how did that go?
Yeah, any problems?
No problems. It went really well. I think they're very happy.
Are Vogue kids
over-
parking there also? Do we know?
No, they're numbered.
We kept. Yep, they're numbered. We kept the temp fence up so we can manage it. And then this signage saying not only Wakefield High parking only.
Okay. Yeah, the only reason I ask is my son said there's still not enough spots for the kids. Still a lot of them parking on the street on
On
farm.
Tuesday, the upper lot was half empty.
Okay.
I think, Jason,
If they
so
don't know
many
yet.
kids are
Yeah.
used to, it opened Tuesday. So whether, I don't know how they announce that at school,
I don't know.
but
I don't know.
also it's a farther walk than on the street. So
True.
guess what?
True.
And there's probably still not enough spots for all the kids.
No, I don't think they're ever been, we
Yeah,
have
they never-
never said they were gonna be during construction.
Yeah, no, I was just curious if Vogue kids were now parking there as well, but
Yeah,
my
we,
son said you're supposed to have your parking permit in order to park there, so.
right, and there was signage gonna be put up as well.
You should go up there, Jason, and
Yeah.
monitor it.
I think I could do that. You wanna come
All
with?
right. All right,
Nice, good volunteering.
Your son would really enjoy that.
Yeah, he's parking on the street because it's easier to get home. He parks north or south of Nahant, Old Nahant. That way he doesn't have to do a UE.
Okay. Overall
All right,
construction
Mark.
update.
Yep.
Yep. Did you say something, Joe? Sorry.
Nope, go ahead.
Okay. So kind of bond activities, I know we got building A turned over to us in the structural steel. So next week we're bringing in the temporary propane tanks to feed the heaters that are also coming next week. We're setting all the temporary conditions up. Topping will start in building A the following week to enclose that so we can heat it and start pouring decks out. Quigley and Sons, they're doing the site work. Currently, they're backfilling that retaining wall 8 that we saw in the picture. Once that's backfilled and the subgrade is back up, we're going to excavate and prep for the retaining wall 7 that goes in front of it. Still working on some very small numbers of footings in building D, getting that wrapped up by the end of next week, and that's the same for building F. So basically, foundation work is going to be completed by the end of November. Utility-wise, we're working on bringing in the new temp electric service down from Hemlock into building A. We're also working at the transformer pad outside of building F, getting the secondary duct banks into the building and then pouring out the containment curbs and the shear wall footings. Site work, perimeter of it, like I said, we're prepping the area to land the propane heaters. We're going to put Jersey barriers around it as the requirement from the fire department. And then we're going to start excavating and setting the segmented block wall, retaining wall on the east side of the site along the wetlands. Emmanuel was on site this week. They were wrapping up the trees and plantings at the upper lot in front of the retaining wall. J.L. Marshall, like I said, wrapping up the footings in building D and F, working on some retaining walls. They're prepping and placing the pad for the mock-up that's going in our temp construction lot, middle of next week. And then we're looking to, that's Marshall. Oh, and then Norgate, they're performing deck and detailing building A that wrapped up today, so we get that building over. Erection in building B was completed today. They'll have some detailing work in the next couple of weeks to get that cleaned up. Erection for building C starts tomorrow, and then after that, building E will go. And then for the MEP trades, now that we have building A, they're gonna be on the decks, starting next week, putting in sleeving, before the slab on deck pour. So that's basically it for the, construction update.
All right, any questions or discussion? Hearing none.
Okay, just a quick overview of the upcoming schedule. Our next PBC construction tour is December 5th. And our next permanent building committee meeting is December 11th.
Are you
Also-
sure? Wait a minute, Lynn. Is the 5th a Thursday or?
Fifth
Yeah.
is a Thursday.
So the it's December 12th, isn't it? On a Thursday?
Yeah, 12th
Yeah,
is
it
the
should be the
Thursday.
12th.
Yeah, he's right. It's the 12th.
11th is a Wednesday.
Yeah, it's been mentioned before. This should be changed. This slide should be edited, please.
So
December
December
12th.
12th. Sorry about that. Let's see, I can change it right now.
All right, and on December 12th, the next permanent building committee will be in person and virtual. I want to have it scheduled at the public safety building conference room, the community room.
Reading my mind.
Please have
About
that, Tim, and please make sure you get that scheduled immediately. And all the other Thursdays of the permanent building committee, the full permanent building committee meetings, the public safety conference room is now capable of having in-person and virtual, and we will be starting that next month.
And
Okay,
there will be a optional cocktail hour following the PBC meeting on the 12th for anyone who wants to hit Sabatino's or something like that.
Not if Joe keeps going at this pace.
Well, we'll have to wrap before they close, I guess. So
see, it's
yeah.
gonna be in person so the Chip can throw things at me.
I'd say Wayne is the happiest because I think he's been asking for in-person meetings the longest out of the whole
Right.
committee. So there we go,
Yeah.
Wayne.
That's right,
Chris-
Phil.
Holidays are early.
There you go. There's your Christmas present, Wayne.
Excellent, thank you.
No problem. And
So,
as indicated, we
We've
hope
been
to have
talking
it
about,
yeah,
we've been talking
think-
about having the topping off ceremony the week of December 16th. Jerry's supposed to get back to us by the end of this week on when that day can be.
He
So-
suggested the 20th, Lynn.
What?
I think he suggested the 20th.
The 20th? Okay.
Yeah, he sent
That's
an
that
email out.
Friday.
that's a Friday.
Friday.
Yes. Does that work for this group?
Friday before Christmas week. That's tough. People.
Yeah. Not my favorite day.
School vacation starts for a lot of people that I know are getting out of town in all industries pretty early to travel, whatever. I think that's a tough date, but it's up to Bond. It's their steel and they have a schedule. So
Yeah, so
whatever they
it's
think,
gonna be what it's gonna be.
we
It'll
don't
be in
need,
the morning.
right in the morning and bring some
Yeah,
coffee.
the difficulty is just having,
Yeah. There's no
making sure,
good
but
time.
obviously the next week doesn't work. And,
Right.
I get it. I know.
the week after that is New Year's and it needs to be done before the crane leaves. So,
You can bring your own pen too.
yeah.
I'm gonna bring a Sharpie.
All right.
All right.
Is
That's
there any
all I
other
had.
questions, or comments? Anything else?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Happy
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 Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
everyone.
All right. So I assume we'll have a motion to adjourn, and it'll be seconded, and everybody can click leave meeting.
Second.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Have a
All
great
right.
night.
Great night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.